Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're going to be checking out episode 8 of Off and Monster season of Monogatari, finishing up an arc apparently today, and very excited to be doing so after last week's cool events. I'd call them cool. I know that's a bit of a simple term for it, but I just thought it was neat. I thought it was cool last week, so I'm keen to see more, especially after these YouTube comments from Backslash. I'll specifically start with this one here, which is right smack bang in the middle. If you thought that these episodes were beautiful, in reference to last week, you're not ready for next week. Apparently this one's even prettier, which is insane, considering the general level of quality of the episodes last week from a production point of view. Just the backgrounds were so fucking good. They were amazing, incredible. I did have a few problems here and there with a bit of the half episode. I thought that there was a few things that looked a little bit wonky, and the music's playing at random times was odd. But other than that, I thought that it was a pretty concept, executed quite well. All went out the window with episode 7. Just gorgeous. One of the best looking things I've seen this year, and that includes like a Kyoto animation show. So like, they're doing something right over there at Shaft. I know, unpopular opinion, right? Either way, continuing here with the YouTube comments from Backslash, of course. That's just kind of the 5 here. That's all we have here today, of course. Starting here with the first one, I wish they didn't put the ending theme after a cruel fairy tale, because when I watched it, I was totally entranced by the storybook art, and then Undeado out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, a lot of anime have problems with that. There's very obvious examples of quite sad episodes going into the very happy, cheery ED. Which kind of, a little bit of tonal whiplash there, as I like to say. It's, you take the good with the bad in that regard, I think. You got to credit the creatives there somehow. I guess you could play that ending credit just on a pure black screen with no music. Or a nice little, just an extended bit of the soundtrack from the episode, maybe? I don't know. Again, I don't see it as that much of an issue personally. I just think it's pretty funny, and funny's good. This second comment, we kind of talked about it last week. I initially forgot about the Shinobu in Zoku Owari stuff, but we got there eventually by the very end. Of course, having that kind of mirror reversed form in the Zoku Owari way, and it being kind of this Shinobu at the start of time almost. Like, so if she's being mirrored from the end of her timeline to the start, right? To this human version of herself when, again, if people see her, then they want to kill themselves because they love her so much in that fun Monogatari reverse psychology kind of way. So yeah, that's what that was referring to. It was a bit of foreshadowing hidden in plain sight, and I guess justifies that scene a little bit more, because I thought it was just kind of like, in the moment, I was like, in Zoku Owari, again, I don't hold a particularly high opinion of Zoku Owari as well, but hey, it's nice to know that a lot of that stuff comes back. Again, maybe it'll grow in my mind as I see the stuff from Zoku Owari and how it's spinning off into future stuff, right? Again, I'm keeping an eye on that whole Kambaru Gaian situation. I'm seeing that going somewhere as well in the future, even more than it has done now. Already mentioned this third comment here. Apparently, okay, this was a bit of a weird one. So there was that week break, but we got some sick art from Nisiwa-sin on Twitter. Obviously, I haven't seen said art because it involves the character of whatever the next arc is. Now, the phrasing here almost makes it seem like a character that hasn't appeared yet, which is odd. Again, the story does continue. It wouldn't be weird for there to be new characters. There already have been 2 new characters in last week's episode. But I'd be surprised if we're doing an arc about them. Any new character at this point. Again, if I was to predict who I would like to have an arc soon, I don't know. Senjo? I haven't seen Senjo in ages. Hanakawa's honestly kind of done. Like, it feels like she's close to done anyway. Kambaru needs work. I just talked about that as well. We've had a lot of Yotsugi. Meeting up with Hachikuji again would be nice. I just like her. I think she's cool. Who else? Sodachi. There should be some Sodachi stuff. We might even do Shinobu again, because now that we've got the backstory, we can play off of that in the current day. That would make sense. Anyway, I digress. Last comment here. Obviously, the death-cheating, death-meeting, death-bringing vampire is very similar to another, I guess, title that we heard in the rest of the show. That being the whole Kizumonogatari full title of Shinobu, of course, Heart Under Blade. Now, again, I'm going to lay these out again because I laid them out last week, but I genuinely think that this is where we're going. Again, considering the naming of Shinobu to be Shinobu, specifically Oshino Shinobu, that's important to her perception now. That's important to changing her, right? Into, away from what she was into what she is now. Again, we're pairing that with the helmet. We're pairing that with the taking off of the helmet. Come Nisei Monogatari, come the end of Tsubasa Cat, of course. Lots of stuff there, lots of Shinobu goodness. So the thing I want to mention is this maybe happened in the past as well, because right now Shinobu is Princess Acerola, right? I think that's her name. Again, the beautiful princess, or whatever you want to call her. As soon as we give her a name, a new name, potentially the whole kiss shot, stupid long vampire name, right? She changes somewhat. And again, I've mentioned that Deathtopia in this current stuff is a lot like Shinobu's general personality and ego that she brings forth into the current day. So it's almost like giving her that title gives her that ego, which makes her into the character that she is when she does the subsequent events of the story. That is my theory as it stands right now. I think it's a pretty good one. Again, I've kind of already started to go into it a little bit, if I can frame this correctly. There we go, that's right. Like, I've kind of been recapping already as my point. There was the beautiful princess stuff, obviously beautiful princess. People see her as beautiful, physically beautiful. She looks pretty, and they like that. But the princess wants people to see past the beauty inside her beautiful soul, of course. Jesse McCartney style, as I mention every single week. Goes to a witch. The witch says that she can do this, makes her like translucent almost. You can see her soul, but her soul is too beautiful that it makes people want to kill themselves. Sounds cool. That leads to the kingdom's destruction. Very bad. Witch then comes back to life, it's weird, and tells her to go on a journey in solitude till she can save someone. I think that's the general gist there. Of course, the person that she saves is one Araragi Koyomi, of course, but before that, of course, there was also the first. Again, we talked a lot about that last week. Moving on to Acerola Bon Appetit. I'm unsure about timeline, but it seems like it's actually some time ago from the Cruel Fairy Tale, which was 600 years ago, so I guess around 600 years ago. A little bit of time has passed there. So now there's this vampire lord, Deathtopia, has a stupid assistant called like Dogwater or something. I don't know what's going on there. I ran out of food. All the people died. Why did all the people die? All the people killed themselves because the beautiful princess was rolling through, right? Deathtopia obviously got a bit of an ego about themselves, then says, okay, I'm going to go take out the princess. Goes to take out the princess. Oh, fuck, I keep killing myself. She's too hot or something. She's got that aura, you know what I mean. Either way, Deathtopia and the princess's goals align. They both want the princess to die, so they're kind of teaming up. We've taken them over to the corpse castle, and we're going to deal with it. From there, I don't know where we go. Again, you fill the pieces of the flashback. I think that the beautiful Princess Acerola, needs to become a vampire at some level. I've mentioned the naming thing previously, of course. Is Tropical-esque going to be involved in this? Maybe. We'll see. And yeah, other than that, I don't know. We're just going to watch it. Apparently the episode's going to be pretty. But before I do that, let me get up this list of patrons, of course. Let me do that. I say it every week, but I have a Patreon. If you would like to see next week's episode 1 week early, of course, you can access that. $6 a month. You get all the episodes for everything on the channel, including Haibane Renmei, which I've done the first episode of here as well, and the other show that I'm watching, Apothecary Diaries. It slipped my mind there for a moment. I don't know why. But yeah, you get access to all that stuff, of course. If you're excited for next arc, something you should consider potentially. People have considered such a thing, such as Mickey Babbers, Charles++, Backslash, Bobbin, Chobo Ribby, Domobot, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Fleur Nightingale, Fried Rice, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Gus N, Heath, Ika, Yako Yavnen, Joran, Kelvin, Kimskel, Clem, Nosta, Cot Begemot, Lou, Mish, Mistake Chen, Nailu, Parnik, Pencil Sharp 333, Runlad B&K, Saint Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Voiko, Without a Net, Zan Echo, Yuki Ali, Zach, Binchi, Hans Peter, Marsh, Voodoo Chili, Aiden O'Brien, and Funny Fat Guy. Thank you to all those people for giving me money, of course. I enjoy money. Again, already done the recap. Again, already explained last week's episodes in the YouTube comments. I'm just going to watch this thing. I can't forget the Discord, of course. You should join the Discord and talk to me about Monogatari. Like the video, subscribe. Now let's jump into episode 8 of Off and Monster Season of Monogatari. Let's do just that. Rightio, I have episode 8 of Off and Monster Season up there ready to go. Episode 2 of Acerola Bon Appetit. It's very red, and I forgot about the aspect ratio stuff, about the black bars, which was very cinematic last week. Should have mentioned that earlier. But yeah, I also maybe expected it to be a little bit longer, but no, the time code on it is 23 minutes and 35 seconds, so pretty standard length. Seems like it has a opening and ending? No opening. No ending? Weird indeed. Either way, MTBB subs, so get that option if you want it. Also mentioning here that MTBB doesn't have any episodes past episode 8. I don't know if it'll have episode 9 by next week. I do not know. I know that I don't even know what episode you guys are up to now, so like, again, I may just need to go subs please at a certain point. Or some other equivalent, right? Something that's very similar to what everybody else is watching if we get to that stage. Either way, picture-in-picture version in the description below as well. I'm going to give it a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, honed story as well, which I still am unsure about. Yep, still gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Oh, not a curse. Hardy Ha Monogatari, sure. She draws it on turn 1. Yeah. The only one that I want to eat as a first meal after revivification. Lighting, cool. Blood. Oh, 2 more deaths, very cool. This was also, like, this is the scene that we saw at the start of episode 7, maybe, where she jumped at her. The 5th death. Okay, let's try a different tact. We might go back and read the monologue at the start of this arc as well. Change the way you think. Okay. This is some like specialist speak. Make her ugly. Fair enough. Simple. Pretend to be ugly. I don't need to pretend. Oh, an ugly person, gotcha. You're too hot. Act like me. Oh, this is great. The parallels here. Donuts, perhaps. Yeah. None of that Watakashi stuff. Ooh. Wash. None of that either. Yeah, way better. The language stuff is really fun. Cute. Oh shit. Nadeko areas. Oh, there we go. I'm so smart, chat. This menu item. They know what they're doing. They're very smart. Got a name yet? Oh. Casually. I think so. You're useless. Tropical dog water. Okay. That could lead to something. Gorgeous. Love the coloration change. No lighting. Oh. Oh, on the bed. I can't do that. Way better. I wanted to look like a pirate. Interesting. Also interesting. Don't take the easy way out as my read there. That's a bit more like it. Bit more shinobu-y. Yeah. Don't kaka me. Oh, kakui. Yeah, give him a kaka. Like you normally do. Like a bird. Give it a little more oomph. Yeah. This is adorable. I will. I thought it was great. Yeah, hell yeah. That's my friend Shinobu. Oh, she's getting there. I see. She's too powerful, help. Well, it shows that it's working, is my point. You're a little child? Monogatari moment? I mean, that wasn't the plan. But maybe it's turning into the plan? Yeah, slave. Come on. I'm just reversing that journey from last week that was shown. Give me a little something. Um, yeah, well, fairy tales were pretty important before. Apple. Ooh, hell yeah. Time to smooch. Music's cool. Heart under blade. There was an apple heart from before. Yo, let's go. Oh yeah, kiss shot. Yeah, great point, show. Can't wait to do like the diagram of her name. Oh my god. Corpse Castle. Well, you seem smaller and smaller. Um, where's my good friend Tropical Esque? Good chapter. All right. I mean, did did you do what I think you did? Oh no, he did what? Yeah. Okay, he did what I think he did. Probably. Yeah. Oh wait, no. So he's done. We cooked him. Yeah, he's kind of stupid. Well, when you put it like that. I'm sure it will be. Mmm. Oh shit. Getting stepped on even in death. That's cool. Okay, bye. There we go. Thought that was coming up. I see. Almost taking Deathtopia's example there. I'm eating everybody. I'll just live in some guy's shadow. It'll be sweet. I'm kind of not human. I don't know. The colors there are really cool too. I was wondering that. Music's beautiful. I recognize this. What the fuck? I'm on some shit. Let me show you some shit. Let me spit some game later on. How does she become a vampire then? Yeah, I remember. Cool. But what does this mean? I see. Okay. Yeah, and then I'm linking that to other stuff. Thanks for preparing the meal. Full moon. Cool. Very cool. Love the 3D there. We'll see. Keep practicing. Oi, oi. Bakemonogatari reference. There we go. That's your new name. I mean, we'll see. Jury's still out. This is a reference, probably. I don't get it. Yeah, sick. There you go. Dig in. Amazing. Incredible looking. I know, that was the implication. Okay, I mean, but then what happened? Oh my god, there's an airplane in fucking 1526? Laura? Who the hell's Laura? Bro said Laura. It was a bit of everything. She's pretty good, yeah. Where'd she get the clothes from? I have. Pick me. Japan? I wonder if you two will ever meet again. Oh, it sounds like content. Yeah. Content. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that clearly implies where the next arc is going, I think. We're going to see Deathtopia again. Deathtopia Virtuoso Suicide Master. Yeah, there was some. We're really doubling down on this whole Monogatari opposite day stuff, right? Because you do something with a certain intent that's the opposite of another certain intent that carries inherent value. That seems to be a major theme encompassing a lot of different stuff, right? It's up to and including the Araragi whole, he's a bad person trying to be good, and that's inherently valuable type areas. It's all kind of that same type stuff, you know. Either way, I'll write a little bit in the Google Doc and we will return. There was some fun stuff visually there, as well as I want to talk about the whole reason the curse was able to be broken, and then applying a lot of that to retroactively to the future stuff. Specifically, a lot of the stuff with eating Tropical-esque as well. I have to be the one to eat him. Eating is a form of love. I want to be the one to step on him. He would have really liked that kind of stuff. And then attaching that to Kiss Shot and her stuff where she ate the Thirst during Shinobu Male. That was the arc. Yeah, that's obviously a reference back to there. So that's cool. Yeah, I'm going to write in the Google Doc now. And we're back. That was episode 8 of Off and Monster season of Monogatari. That was episode 2 of Acerola Bon Appetit. I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was great. A lot of fun stuff that we can reach forward into the future and theorize about, as well as a pretty... I thought the arc resolved well. I thought the problems presented resolved themselves in pretty believable ways that, again, linked into stuff that happens later. It just fit into the plot like a puzzle piece. It was just very good in that regard. Ultimately, that conclusion there has me thinking into the future as well. Of course, I'll address that here in a second. I think the comments implied before that this episode was going to be significantly more pretty. It was pretty good. But again, I think up to that same level of the previous episode, I would say, which again is still a generally high level of production. I've written a summary here, which isn't really a summary because it's pretty long. In contrast to last week's episode, I would say that this one requires a lot of writing down. If I was to, I guess, theorize how the book would be laid out, I would imagine that the first episode takes up not much of it, and then this episode takes up majority of it. That's how I would say this is how it works. Because you're going through quite a few events here and quite a long stretch of time, especially when considering the very end. So let's dive in here. This will be a nice bouncing off point for other ideas. So, and again, I haven't even rewatched the episode. This is all from memory. I could be forgetting something important, just as a caveat. Deathtopia theorizes that one way to stop the blessing of the beautiful princess is to muddy the beauty by making Acerola do evil things. Again, I've got quotation marks there because they kind of need them. She's not doing evil things. She's doing outwardly perceived villainous things that are kind of like a vampire would do, you know? Tangibly, this results in changing the way she speaks and the way she laughs. Specifically here, we have a large amount of contrast now between the Shinobu we know and the way that she speaks, which is a very different tone of Japanese to the way that Acerola speaks in this episode, as well as the way that Mira Shinobu spoke in Zoku Owari. I remember it was very, very formal, as opposed to, again, that opposite end, which is the informality of normal Shinobu. Again, I'm not perfect with that kind of stuff, but, you know, the difference between what Takashi and the other thing we went with is pretty stark, even to somewhat of a layman in Japanese and myself. We go back to Acerola's room randomly, and she's attacking this new goal of doing evil things, outward ugly things in the wrong way. She's got a little bit of the wrong tact there. So she's going to spike her eye with a, you know, looks like a candle thing or something, like a fire poker or something to that kind of area. This is attacking this new goal in a superficial way. Just spiking yourself in the eye to look like a pirate, I think, is the thing that she wants to do, which is kind of adorable, is, again, approaching this whole ugliness in a way that is very similar to those committing suicide for her benefit. Again, staunchly against this kind of self-harm angle to doing any of this, right? I would have been surprised if Acerola could even do this, because, again, she can't even commit suicide. That was something that was established from episode 6.5, I believed, as well. And ultimately, there's a wide shot there as well that shows this mess that she's created, which is still kind of orderly, right? She's artificially attacking being messy, and, you know, she's not approaching it with anything real, and that realness is important to what's going on here, right? It's a fake in the worst way, if I had to describe it. Either way, over at the other end, we have Tropical-esque, who is growing impatient with Deathtopia and her interest in Acerola, right? So he's been away, he's been working hard, but he's been getting basically no attention from Deathtopia either. It's the worst of both worlds, right? The only thing that he found in his travels as well was a pretty, you know, stereotypical fairy tale story of a true love's first kiss breaking a curse. the curse representing the apple. We're obviously doing a lot of Snow White there. Either way, this idea of true love's first kiss comes into the plot a little bit later when we're naming Acerola, of course, so we'll get to it. But in the meantime, Tropical-esque kind of, you know, he blows up. He crashes out, for lack of a better term. We find that he isn't in the room where he normally is. Instead, he has attacked Acerola, and this has resulted in his own death in a very similar way to the way that Deathtopia herself died when trying to bite Acerola, right? So this does a couple of things. It makes Acerola want to go away. She doesn't want to hurt this person, this Deathtopia that's close to her, right? If Deathtopia will eventually whittle away, she can't revive forever, then I can't take the risk of staying here and killing her, right? This is the closest I've been at this point to anything resembling somebody staying alive in my presence. It would be soul-shattering if that person in themselves was to die as well. So I gotta leave, right? But before I do that, can you make me a vampire? Specifically, the thing that sparks this on, in my opinion, is the death of Tropical-esque and Deathtopia's resulting actions, right? The one thing that Deathtopia wants to do in the world is make Acerola the first one that she feeds off of, right? However, she is willing and able to give her, you know, her servant the respect of breaking this, you know, want for herself, this thing that she vowed to do, to give her love to him instead, right? To consume him, to eat him, and again, we're equating that to love a lot in the plot there. So I'm giving almost this last send-off of love to Tropical-esque that is inspiring to Acerola. She sees that and she's like, oh, I wouldn't mind a love like that, a love that even goes beyond death, right? A love that somebody would commit to somebody else even after the fact, even after the point where they had died. And she goes, hey, I want to be a vampire too, so I can experience a love like that. It truly is one of the greatest love stories of all time. If I wanted a fucking 2010s ass joke, better love story than Twilight. Even a little bit of a vampire reference there too. Now again, this isn't exactly rocket science, but you directly relate this to Shinobu's actions in Shinobu Mail, specifically going out of her way to eat all of the aberrations that had, you know, become of the true aberration killer, OG aberration killer, when he got the seal put on him and then he exploded and then Shinobu ate him. This is clearly linking to that. This is an admission of love. This reinforces a lot of those, I guess, theories that were there in the past about Shinobu in the first. She plays coy about it, but she cared about him quite a bit. The eating there, that scene there, reinforces this almost completely, I would say. From there, the episode turns into like, okay, how are we going to make Acerola a vampire? There's a weird contradiction in that when Deathtopia pushed her onto the bed, it was directly against her best interests, something which nobody else had done for her in a very long time, right? It was in protecting Acerola's own personal interests by going against her own personal interests that was able to work, right? This directly links into why vampirism will work on her because of weird motivation stuff. That's kind of opposite day and kind of weird to talk about. We'll talk about it more when the scene comes up. I thought that scene where she does become a vampire was pretty fabulously produced. Loved some of the shots there. Loved the setting, of course, as well. Speaking of setting, I want to bring something up as well. I'll show you that here in a second too. Either way, the most exciting part of the arc, at least in my opinion, is that we do a 600-year time skip and it's current day and Deathtopia's still hanging about, the Suicide Master indeed, and goes, hey, let's check on Shinobu. So Deathtopia is going to enter the plot, which is funny. So let's think about the ripple effects there. Obviously, we have Shinobu with Araragi at the moment, which is, you know, that's going to be a surprise, especially considering what we just saw with Tropical-esque and Deathtopia's opinions there. Seems like Deathtopia's been kind of in solitude ever since that point. Of course, there's the romantic angle as well. It's heavily implied that there's a lustful element to Deathtopia and Acerola's relationship in this particular arc, so a romantic rival for Araragi that's a cool older vampire lady? That seems pretty fucking legit. I would like that. Obviously, Gaian's gonna flip her shit. There's this new fucking supervillain that's just entered town. I'm the balancer. What the fuck? What the fuck, guys? I think something like that's going to happen. This would even be like Colin Oshino Meme type territory. Hey, Meme, come back here. Sort this out, please. So yeah, this is a nuclear bomb to the current level of general peace that we have in the plot, I would say. A new arch vampire super villain lord has entered town and is kind of talking with Shinobu and stuff. So clearly that's going to mean something, I think. Yeah, that seems very funny. Let me bring up this one shot. I'm gonna blow your mind here. Oh, never mind. I was on meth. So this is a shot from Koyomi Monogatari, the final episode. There, I thought that this stained glass look was the exact copy of the stained glass look. I guess I'll put it on screen there, from the episode we watched today. Not the case, and this one even has fucking one of the dudes in the back, one of the specialists. Was that who carried the cross? Was that episode? It was one of them. Anyway, I thought that this was the exact same shot. It's not the exact same shot. I was being obtuse. So I guess I'm not smart at all. I guess I'm a big dum-dum. But credit for thinking about it. I don't know. I've got certain scenes I have a photographic memory about. Just certain scenes. Other stuff, not so much. And here we are back in the episode proper. One of the things I'll note, obviously, is that I noticed before the episode started that we have no opening and no ending. We have just the credits over the top. In kind of retrospect, this kind of stuff would have been quite nice after the beautiful princess little thing instead of playing, the happy-go-lucky ED. Yeah, again, it just adds to the length of the episode in general, I would say. Instead of it being 20 minutes, it's actually 24 minutes. So its true length with an opening and an ending on top is closer to 26 minutes. Again, pretty simple stuff there, I would say. There is a general repetition of these very beautiful shots, which is probably just in good taste. They're very, very well constructed. And, reusing them is just a good use of resources overall, I would say. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't reuse this stuff, because it's really good. One of the first things here we start with is this fun little reversal thing, right? One of the first things I said during that kind of Fairy Tale 6.5 episode is, hey, this doesn't sound like a blessing, this sounds like a curse, right? And everybody else assumes the same. No. In actuality, it is still a blessing, right? That's what's stopping this from being able to be taken away, so to say, right? Like, if it's a curse, we can break a curse because a curse wants to be broken inherently on some level. A blessing does not. There is an element of a blessing not wanting to be broken, right? And that being the sticking point that's making it really hard for Acerola to shed this condition. She is beautiful on every level, a beauty that is innate, a beauty that she cannot get rid of. The blessing just made that visible. Again, that was the whole premise of the whole witch's plan there, right? Tropical S continues to infer that, hey, you should probably eat something else. Maybe me, before going over to her, right? We explicitly say in the episode we're conflating eating with loving, like, explicitly, right? So when you say stuff like this, she'll be the only woman that satiates my hunger, you can kind of see where we're getting at there, right? You've fallen for her, at least in some respect, right? And Tropical S does not like that. It is almost a feud of a love triangle with extra steps, I would say. There's an inherent sacrificial nature to the love involved here as well, which I think is an interesting thing to think about within the context of the rest of the series as well. Either way, Tropical S fucks off for a bit. He's going to go do some research and find if there's another way to break this blessing, whilst we have the general idea from Deathtopia here to go to Acerola and say, hey, make yourself more ugly, right? You're too beautiful innately. We need to change that innate beauty to an innate ugliness. However, from that point, this is where that fifth death was at the start of episode 7, and the normal stuff isn't working per se. I like this visual element here very early in the episode, so that when we see the blood splatter all over the room, we can imply what happened with Tropical-esque. I also really like this in the foreground, almost a crucifix as well. Definitely an element of sacrifice and crucifixion to the general tone overall here. Something I didn't notice very early, but you can kind of even see it now, she's getting thinner and thinner, right? This results later on in the episode in a very Monogatari-esque way, I might add, of her decreasing in age. This directly correlates with Kiss Shot later in the show in Kizumonogatari, when she's at her lowest level of power and hasn't fed, she is small girl, right? When she gets larger girl when she eats dudes. Does that make any sense? Yeah, similar thing is happening here. The current theory is this, right? I can't touch her. When I bump into her, I explode. Therefore, we need you to be more ugly, inside and out and that kind of thing, right? For me to be able to touch you, for me to be able to bite you, for me to be able to eat you. Fair enough, fair enough. That same principle then would apply to the end of the episode when, hey, you feel you have an inherent ugliness on the outside. No, we kind of debunked that within the episode almost as well. We'll get to the stuff later on which kind of explains why she's able to be bitten, but yeah, I'm trying to fit that in here initially, which I can't quite do. It's no secret that there's a mirror in the room as well, and we literally have the camera pointed at the mirror looking at Acerola. She needs to mirror her personality in the same way of like a Zoku Owari mirroring, right? Literally, this is that transition point between that really formal and, really speaks that high-level Japanese to the, vocal inflections and the shinobu that we know now, right? This is the point where that transition occurs, therefore the mirror. Also, another really direct one here is what we're sitting on, right? And just the character posing in general. So, again, the elegant, normal thing that you would sit on, right, is you sit on the chair, you don't lean back in it, straight back, hands forward, very formal, very royalty, all those things that we would associate with a princess, right? But you're sitting down like you're being taught something. You're sitting up on the table, something which you normally wouldn't sit on. It's not polite to sit on it. You're also hunched over. You're also like crossing your legs, that kind of thing, right? Like, you got to be like me. I'm teaching you how to be, ugly per se. You simply must pretend to be an evil person, but when she does so, look at all the sparklies. Too beautiful, too much beauty. Again, I've largely associated the sparklies here with that beauty from the previous episode. It's nice that it's being directly correlated visually here. See, with that kind of look, you're already failing the test. From now on, you must cross your arms whenever you're deep in thought, then add in the kakakas, add in the certain way that you speak as well. Hey, we're making shinobu. We're making the shinobu we see in the rest of the show. I will provide dresses with gaudier designs. Does that speak to her kind of red dress that we see her wearing in the rest of the show? Was that something in your wardrobe? That's very funny. I like that. Specifically here in the language department, we're contrasting watakashi with something else. Let me hear it. So instead of watakashi, it's now washi, which is a very, very shortening of that. I've never even heard that as kind of something you would say. There's a specific, it's almost like a filter put over her voice. It makes her sound a little bit similar. Like, it's like Shinobu now is saying the line and this kind of Acerola voice. I believe it's the same voice actress, but it's said in two different inflections and they're kind of played over the top of each other, right? Again, denoting a transition between one form and another, which is very cool. Also like some of the shots here, like, a little bit of a Dutch angle to it. It's not quite as straight up and down, quite as normal as before. There's a little bit more tension there. There's a little bit more ugliness, From here, we're transitioning between the red and the blue there. I will try to be more vulgar in my thoughts, my appearance, my everything. It may be good as well to change your name from the elegant and cute Princess Acerola as well. I'll get to thinking about a name. That's where the kiss shot and the true love's kiss stuff comes in later on. Specifically here, the word cute, elegant and cute. Again, who's another character we've largely associated with just being cute. That would be one Nadeko, right? So Nadeko went through a similar process of in kind of growing out of what happened previously, right? She went down a darker path. She became more violent. She became more ugly. There was a lot of delusion there. I think ultimately both characters, Shinobu and Nadeko, came out on the other side for the better based on their relationships around them. Also based on their own personal effort as well. Again, that is why there's that scene at the end of episode 6, right? Where you're really enjoying the arc of Nadeko. I think you see a lot of yourself in her. And Nadeko, if she knew this story, would see a lot of herself in you as well. There's a connection there which was made obvious through that episode 6, which I did not see previously. Either way, using this as a jumping off point to think about a more suitable name for this particular menu item. This is prompting me as well. I need to go back to the start of episode 7 and reread that opening little monologue. Oh, specifically here, these are all the Deathtopia forms as well. All these little, marionettes and whatever, right? Kind of growing in size as we continue moving from one to the next. And also, yeah, gotcha. Sweet, that makes a lot of sense now. I myself thought up the name of Kishot, not to brag, but it's cool, tough, and a most splendid name, something which we also mention at the end of the this episode we watched here today. To be honest, I feel the slightest of regrets. Perhaps I should not have given her a name. You know what they say, you become attached to your pet once you give it a name. I think you were attached from the very start, if I'm going to be honest. You were enchanted by her the moment you saw her. Whether that attachment was friendship, affection, or simply lust is something I'm unsure of in hindsight, but there's one thing I can say for certain. It was not of a desire to feed, because that name doesn't work well as the name of a meal, now does it? Yeah, very innocuous opening now that I'm looking at it. The distinction there between, okay, I'm giving her a name not because I want to feed on her, but feeding on someone being a symbol of love as well. So again, there's a level of contradiction there, there's a level of self-deception there as well, I think, as well. Interesting one. Like, okay, that name doesn't work well as the name of a meal, so I didn't want to eat her. But also, I mean, the whole premise of the thing is that I wanted to eat her, but now, again, you're going to go check on her. I think that's the implication from the very end of episode 8. Again, somebody can probably speak to this in a little bit more authority. I think it's a little bit wishy-washy here for mine. This whole, like, she's not a meal, she is a meal. I want to eat her. I want to love her. I want to let her go. I want her to be able to move on. I want to break this curse. Lots of stuff. Tropical-esque is now speaking. He's saying that, okay, your plan is kind of paradoxical and satirical, which again, I think is breaking the fourth wall a little bit. A lot of this is paradoxical. A lot of this is very opposite day, as I've spoken about, but a lot of that is, again, on purpose. It's on purpose paradoxical is kind of Monogatari's tone, or at least has been for the past little bit. Satirical is an interesting shout as well. A lot of Monogatari and its general actions is kind of harem satire, I would say. Deconstruction, if you wanted to be that nerdy about it. So it's fun that we're shouting that out in the actual text as well. That, hey, some element of this show, and specifically this arc here, is satirical of fairy tales, in the same way that the rest of Monogatari is satirical and against general high school harem rom-com type things, you know. But yeah, to that comment where you're kind of combating a superficial beauty, right, which was originally the problem, right, that, you know, Acerola was only seen for her superficial beauty. I want her to see the real me. You're helping to, you know, again, guise that with superficial ugliness. Does that seem correct? Again, almost seems stupid. However, as he's explaining this, I just die. Deathtopia just dies. And again, this only stands to worry Tropical-esque. Of course, there's one thing he wants in life, and that's for his master's well-being. If she's going to continue to die in the helping of Acerola, then I can't allow that to be. This informs your actions later on. Either way, don't focus on me and my dying of starvation and that kind of stuff. Give me the information. You said you gathered information. Well, not much. Turns out everyone's fucking dead, and anybody that isn't dead doesn't want to talk about it. I was even thinking about visiting the beautiful princess and her homeland and that kind of stuff. I eventually do. I find almost nothing except for another little fairy tale pastiche thing. Now again, this looks gorgeous, and this is Deathtopia walking in with a meal, going over to feed Acerola, right? Specifically here, we show off the broken stained glass as well. This is the superficial ugliness that we were talking about, right? It's a setup as well for this artificial action of ugliness. The same way that stained glass window is broken, still kind of ultimately looked beautiful as well. This is an ultimately ugly action, still done on a beautiful person for a beautiful reason. It's not going to work inherently, right? But I think what matters here is that Deathtopia thinks that this is legitimate, that thinks that you're trying to take your own life and that kind of thing, right? So ultimately that contradiction in our motives there, me wanting to push you aside and push you onto the bed and that kind of thing, even that lustful element to it, I want to push you onto the bed and stop you from committing suicide. We're not aligned in our beliefs, and that's why I was able to do so. So think about everybody else that has seen her. She's superficially beautiful, yes, but her soul is even more beautiful. If we see that, we're all in agreement. You believe your soul is beautiful, I believe your soul is beautiful. Therefore, I'm able to do anything for you, therefore I'm going to kill myself to help you and that kind of thing, right? Again, ultimately, it's that agreeance that gives this blessing its power, I think. Because you instantly rush in, you burn your hand after, seeing her, but after you burn your hand on the thing that she was holding, on this thing, right? But you don't burn your hand when you push her onto the bed. The character posing here is no accident, of course. There is heavy, heavy sexual love undertones to everything that's going on here, I would say. Between the whole sacrifice angle, the showing of the neck during the bite, the wanting to be more like you, that kind of stuff. The actions of Tropical-esque in seeing this is almost cheating on him it's heavily implied that, that's at least an element of it, right? Again, the story's kind of multi-leveled in that way, which I find quite cool. So Suicide Master, you've got it all wrong. So you thought that I was trying to kill myself. I was merely trying to poke my eye out and make myself more like a pirate, because pirates are cool. We also see here that she's changing that word. She's changing watakashi to washi. Instead, she's really working on that as something that she wants to change, right? Goes to show that there's a level of effort involved in trying to produce this change as well, which is cool. More links to Monogatari there. Instantly upon hearing that she wanted to poke her eye out to look like a pirate, never do that again. I acknowledge your effort, specifically, but it's a little bit off the mark. You may desire to seem prestigious or pull off some impressive bluff, so lie, but you must remember that it's but a fake, a show. Don't actually wound yourself in that process. You're doing the same thing as all the humans who offered their lives to you. So hey, effort is there. You're willing to sacrifice things to change the way that your life is, which again, based on your backstory, is fair enough. But there's an element of love there. There's an element of I'm caring about you, even beyond the level of a pet, like I've described before, right? I care about you. I don't want you to hurt yourself. In trying to deceive, in trying to do this lie of you becoming more ugly, don't actually end up going all the way. Don't believe your own lie too much. Now, I'm emphasizing this because this is important groundwork for what happens later in the justification of why you're able to even be bitten, right? So again, I'm a little bit confused on that as we stand right now, so we're going to see by the very end. You must not sacrifice anything in exchange for no longer being the beautiful princess. It would be the same thing as resolving the problem through dying, which is something you can't do, which is the same thing that all these masses had done in the past, right? You'd be just as bad as them, therefore you apologize, you regret your actions, all that kind of stuff. In doing so, she spoke in proper speech, however that speech is improper. It's paradoxical, right? A proper speech would be improper speech in this particular scenario. And again, I think this is the best metaphor for the artificiality of it all, right? Look at this mess that she's created. It doesn't look like a real mess. There's no real mess to it. It's orderly, All the different outfits of the different days are still organized, even in a messy formation. You can't hide the aesthetic sense of the artist. She still has a long way to go. You find this somewhat humorous. You go for the kaka, of course. I just wanted to show you a way of laughing, right? In a prestigious, handsome way. From here, we spin this off into finding out that Acerola hasn't laughed at all. She says if I haphazardly laugh, then entire countries could fall. You know what I mean? So I have to, again, laughing is such a beautiful thing that people do. Like, think about, someone you like laughing. It's something awesome, right? You love that. If I was to do that on the scale of my beauty amplified to all these different people that adore me, they would all their heads would explode. They would fucking love it too much, right? So there's an irony in that due to their adoration, due to their love of me, out of my self-preservation for them, I can't show them this really lovely face that I have when I'm laughing. Again, that's very tragic. So this now adds into the rest of the series, right? Whenever Shinobu goes through with the kakas and that kind of thing, right? She does think it's funny, but this is the way that she can express herself while still not endangering those around her. I'm trying to think of another point in the series where she's genuinely laughed without the kakaka, right? Instead of going for, wahaha, something a little bit, more traditional. There must be a point in the series where it happened that we're alluding to. This is the laugh you reserve for, when you actually like someone, when something's genuinely funny, when you don't want to put up this facade anymore. Which I think speaks to something really beautiful. Upon all the facades that you've needed to put up, one, this ugly facade, and in another way, the beautiful facade that you had up before, there's only some other spots later in the show or late in the story, where you've actually been genuinely able to laugh. I kind of want to find out where this point is. Let me search up, when does Shinobu laugh? Maybe she hasn't? I don't know. Maybe she'll laugh genuinely at some point in the future. Maybe she still hasn't been able to lower her guard to that degree. Maybe that's something we'll tackle in this next arc. Yeah, again, there's something really beautiful about that I'm kind of zeroing in on here, which I really like. So this is editing me coming back through. I asked the question to the Discord to link times where Shinobu had laughed genuinely with a haha instead of a kaka. Again, from the very end of the episode, it's implied that this happens when something genuine happens, when she genuinely wants to express her true feelings and that kind of thing. Again, pure tsundere areas, of course. It turns out there are numerous examples. I've gotten 4 up here in front of me because they were the most relevant here at the time, I guess. The first one here I've got, I believe this is the first one in the show based on timing-wise, because I don't think there would have been one in Nisei Monogatari before this point. This is explicitly in Tsukihi Phoenix, right? Where you've just beaten the shit out of Yotsugi, and Araragi was willing and able to have his ass beat for the sake of his sister, right? So again, I'm conflating this with a genuine show of humanity, right? And also Araragi. Araragi's the main point behind this, right? You find this genuinely amusing, genuinely lovely. There's also an element of, like, I'm better than Kaganui as well. There's an element of ego to it as well in a very vampiric way. Very, very Nisei Monogatari Shinobu, I would say, in that kind of area. This next one I've got's kind of tragic. This is the laugh that time travel Shinobu does in Kabuki Monogatari, right? So at this point, Shinobu has destroyed the world because Araragi died to Black Hanakawa. At least that's the way I remember it anyway, right? Upon seeing a Shinobu with an Araragi right in front of her in this other world, it's maddening, right? To the point where it's almost like a sarcastic, psychotic laugh. Again, what's the common factor here? Araragi. It involves Araragi and her relationship to him. It goes to show that the lengths that Araragi will go in a different reality to still try and make things right. And again, still really emphasizing this point of humanity. Humanity is the thing that she really enjoys here. I link this later in this segment, in this analysis segment, that the reason she becomes a monster that eats humans is because she loves humans that much, right? It's kind of that same eat-love little dichotomy we had going on in the rest of the arc. Of course, with the whole Bon Appetit conceit. So yeah, this one's really tragic, but again, giving it a genuine, hearty ha-ha-ha instead of everything else, also tits. I've got another one here, which is well later in the show in Owari Monogatari Season 2. And yeah, building some nice contrast here. This is a really nice moment upon where Shinobu and Araragi are reunited. Shinobu's like fully grown and she's swinging Araragi around like, you know, it's meant to be like a funny scene. We do like that stupid Dragon Ball meme here in a second as well. Where's the impact frame? Yeah, the stupid Yamcha pose. Yeah, anyway. Monogatari's weird. This one's quite lovely. But again, what's the common factors there? Araragi. What's the other common factor of most of Orgy Dark? This idea of humanity, of course, and the different sides there and the self-destructive tendencies and all that kind of stuff, right? I'm leading up, of course, and emphasizing this mostly to inform a Nadeko scene, which is this one here, and the one that's the most obvious analog to what we're talking about because it was so recent, right? Upon hearing Nadeko ask that question of, like, are we like still good? Do you still think those things you used to think about me? It elicits a laugh like this. Again, this time we're not associating with Araragi, we're associating with Nadeko, but we're still associating with those same properties that is causing this kind of laugh, this inherent love of humans and humans doing human things. From this, you can backfill and say that you genuinely have a lot of affection for Nadeko and her struggle. You identify with it, along with Araragi's struggle as well. It's all just folding in on itself, right? You, as Princess Acerola, as Kishshot, and as part of Araragi, love these decisions from Nadeko to the point where you're producing this laugh. Now that's fucking deep. Now that's deep, 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 right? It's got 600 years of build up to this moment, and it's innocuous in the moment to the point where you could just miss it. That's crazy. That's craziness. So yeah, that's kind of the lawnmower's going outside, so I'm going to stop the segment now. But yeah, that's just all great. I love all these examples we came through with and kind of the commonality of Araragi and humanity through it. The reason why you can laugh, you know? Great, love it. Of course, it's a little bit like current year fan servicey as well. We need to, you know, find a way to explain why she does the thing that she does, which is kind of lame, but I think ultimately they pull it off here. It's, you know, it's at least interesting. It's also just adorable. I like her, like, expression here when she's trying to do it, but she can't get past that level of the facade. In that way, I think it's pretty good voice acting as well. It's kind of this really haughty, kind of posh person trying to let loose a little bit and, you know, gradually getting better at as the episode goes on. Takes a pretty strong voice performance with pretty good voice direction as well to get that across. Again, we see here transitioning to the Shinobu we know and love here today. The arms crossed, the eyes, the mouth, all that kind of stuff, right? You'll be able to smile like this and laugh like this without hurting those around you. You'll be able to do that stuff, even if on some level it is fake. This is where Deathtopia makes the discovery of her hand, right? So this was the hand that I used to grab was it like sharp or something, or hot? I don't know, it was weird. But I grabbed onto the tool that she had, which she was stabbing her eye, and it burnt my hand or hurt my hand, that kind of thing, right? But my other hand, the hand that I used to push her onto the bed, that was not harmed. So what gives? I shoved her and didn't have a scratch at all. And then from here we see her again starving again and again and again, growing smaller and smaller and smaller. This is where Tropical-esque starts to get really worried. My master is going to die if I don't do something about, Acerola, right? Again, there's an element of that stubbornness there still as well. I can enjoy an exquisite meal. I still want to best her. I still want to... But in besting her, I'm also helping her, if that makes any sense, because she wants to, die. She wants to not be living anymore. She wants this curse to be broken. If I'm able to do that, then that's also good. Again, I want to feed on her. I want to love her. Tropical-esque sees that in trying to love her, you're dying. I can't let that happen. And then goes and does what he does, right? Tropical-esque brings it up directly here. Hey, I know you intended to keep her as a pet, but do you intend to keep her forever? I think you've caught feelings. And then, that's none of your concern. Give me the report. Remember, you're the servant here. I'm the master. We reused these backgrounds from last episode. They still look really pretty. We even somewhat reversed the order here, which is cool because it shows, again, this showed the journey of Acerola initially. We're reversing it when we're reversing the journey and going back to where she came from, right? So yeah, I traveled there, but efforts were fruitless. There's hardly anything there. But again, that implies that there was something, right? Hardly anything is still something. So you learnt something. Well, it's kind of nothing. It's just that, it's the fairy tale element to it, right? Something that people continue to say. Either way, any information is good information, so give me the fairy tale. Well, it isn't even really that. It's just a commonplace legend in human society. It seems to be the only way to lift a curse from a princess is a kiss from a prince. And we end that little chapter there with a little caca as well. I really like the art here. I think it's a nice difference and demonstrates that more traditional fairy tale type art style too. So let's talk about this. We specifically bring this up as a crucial piece of information to break a curse, right? Well, this is kind of a blessing, right? So how would you break a blessing? Through a weird, twisted kind of kiss. Maybe a bite. Very, very cool. So again, ultimately Tropical-esque's information here was correct. It was broken by a kiss from a prince, right? It just needed to be augmented slightly, even artificially uglified, if you wanted to say it like that, for it to ultimately work. Now that is very, very clever. We're also directly involving this with Snow White through the use of the apple. The apple itself has been largely associated with the heart. Heart is associated with love. I eat the heart as well. I eat the apple. I'm eating the heart. I'm loving her heart. We're in love. Something like that, I think. Again, it's all just very clever, even if a little bit nebulous. I think, yeah, I really get what they're getting at here, even if I can't put it into words directly. The most direct connotation of this little story is the naming, though. That's what we specifically get at in the plot here. It's a good time for me to figure out what this name would be. True Love's kiss is very important in the breaking of the curse, thus naming her Kiss Shot in that way is also True Love's kiss. This is like Heartspan. Where the fuck does any of that come into it? I forget about the swords. That shit's weird. I think that's some Japan type beat. Yeah, this is some like weird like specialist shit, right? So like putting the word kiss in the name is important, even if it's kind of like fairy tale and weird, right? But it's a commonplace legend that people put belief in, which has been important to our oddity system in the past, right? Therefore, putting this word in, this word carries power, it'd be important to put this in here and it would actually work on a larger scale based on society and their beliefs, right? I still know of a story of a true love's kiss even in the modern day. So does Araragi and Co. Hence why this name works as a breaking of the curse. Either way, shit's gone from bad to worse here. Deathtopia's in a pretty bad way, waking up at the start of a chapter after dying again, looking more and more childlike, getting thinner and thinner. You need to feed soon. To the point of dying of starvation 2 to 3 times a night. You're pretty close to death's door, right? If you keep letting this happen, then you will eventually die. However, one of the things you notice upon looking around is, hey, no tropical-esque. He's not waiting for me to wake up or anything like that. That's odd. What gives? Focus in on the candle here, on that one candle there, which will link to the candles later in the next room. Namely, those candles there which have been extinguished, right? There was one candle that was still lit, but now they're all out. Because tropical-esque is all over the damn tropical room. He got exploded because he tried to take out Kiss Shot. Well, not even Kiss Shot yet, Acerola. Yeah, I was waiting to see what this was as well. So we have the princess in the middle, right? And then surrounding it, we have tropical-esque home wave dog strings. His name is in this kind of spiral formation because he's fucking blood and guts are in a spiral formation all over the fucking walls because he got exploded. I just think this is quite clever. So obviously mixed feelings here for Acerola, right? She was being attacked, it was self-defense, all these things, right? But ultimately the same thing happened yet again in front of her. Somebody came into her presence and they killed themselves. They killed themselves in trying to kill her. Again, it goes back to that line from the previous episode, right? I'd prefer if you didn't try to kill me, because in doing so, you would only hurt yourself. So again, that same old story, the same old thing that's been happening to everybody around you forever, happened once again. So this is the general motivation for you to go. You now learn that, hey, upon seeing Deathtopia again, she's fucking tiny. You can't do this forever either. You're wilting away. Look at you. You're the only person that stayed alive even remotely after seeing me. I would hate to see you die. There's an element of love there between the two, an element of self-sacrifice. I'm willing to let go of this connection to you right now in the hopes that it will keep you alive, you know? Tropical-esque isn't as strong of a vampire. He can't regenerate himself. Look at you. You can't regenerate yourself forever either. Now we see the problem. Again, I really like this shot at the point of realization too, from here into the eyes there. Just in general, that there was a really, really good shot. This one here looks brilliant. That's almost thumbnail material, I think. We'll see. We'll see later on. Again, this is where Acerola falls into that old thing, right? It's not your fault that Tropical-esque died, but that's not true. If I had not been here, then he wouldn't have died. Blaming yourself for all these deaths around you, you could apply this to every single death, you know? In that way, this is almost that thing from The Witch, right? When the witch is like, look for somebody to save. Well, you kind of save, yeah. Oh shit, this is smart as fuck. Okay, so look for somebody that you will save, right? So I theorized in the past that the way to break this curse was the whole Araragi shebang. But no, the curse is broken here. You save somebody by leaving, right? Ultimately, you saving Deathtopia here by going away, by not being in her presence, is one of the things that breaks the curse. It's one of the myriad things that builds into this whole vampirism angle and that curse being broken. That's quite smart. Okay, yeah, that's cool. I really like that. Again, there's a princely angle to you as well, which I really enjoy. Prince and princess. Yeah, that's almost where you get the same idea. Okay, I'll let you go, but yeah, just wait a little bit longer while I consume my meal. I don't want you to move. What is her meal in this little part? It is Tropical-esque himself. You can't move because I don't want you to step on my precious food. Of course, I'm the only one that's allowed to step on him. This is the relationship between a master and a servant. Of course, blind Freddy could see the connections here between the Araragi and Shinobu dynamic. That whole master-servant thing that transitions from master to servant depending on the time period and who's in control and whatever else, right? And here she goes, slurping up young tropical-esque, again, in a final showing of love. To eat is to love, or whatever we say later on. Again, witnessing this is important. Witnessing this love here, this love that almost seems eternal, that even surpasses death, is a big motivator for why you would want to even become a vampire. Surrounding you is meaningless death. You want meaningful death. In eating him, his death becomes meaningful. I want in on that, you know? Talking about it from the whole Deathtopia angle as well, I really, really wanted to have, you know, acerola as my first meal after waking after starvation. I was sacrificing that. I sacrificed that want of myself. I sacrificed my own ego to give Tropical-esque a proper, meaningful death. So that's a cool angle too. I truly did love him to the point where I was able to sacrifice my own ego for a second and do it. So as a master, that is a symbol of love. And then from there, I have a favor to ask you, make me a vampire. Combining, of course, with this red and this darker color as well. Very Kizumonogatari, very blood-like, very vampire-y in general. So this is where it gets weird, right? So in my read of the scene later on, how you're even able to make her a vampire, right, is because you're able to touch her for the same reasons you were able to touch her when she was going to stab the thing in her eye, right? In that particular scene, you wanted to stab the thing in your eye for a completely different reason for the reason that she ended up touching you, right? In this scene, you want to be a vampire, but we almost agree on that. I don't see that same contradiction which allowed you to touch her in the past. But again, I'm going to continue to reread here. I could just be reading something wrong. I guess this is somewhat a demonstration of it. Deathtopia is initially against it, suggesting all the downsides of being a vampire. You won't be able to walk in the sun, you won't be a human, you want to sacrifice your own humanity even for this want, to give meaning to the deaths around you. I think your conviction shines through, but I'm still unable to help you. It's impossible. Just as I cannot eat you, I cannot turn you into my kin, because I would have to sink my fangs deep into your supple skin. Definitely not romantic at all. So despite your conviction, you're not able to do it, right? But then we bring up this scene, and I love the color change here too. It changes from the red to this new blue stained glass. It's a little bit more hopeful. You've taken control of the conversation as well. You're giving the idea here of how, you know, this vampiric transformation is even going to work. Okay, here we go. Why do you think you were able to shove me aside at that time? Why, you ask? Because I was able to shove you onto a soft bed. Your body didn't take any damage, so I didn't take any damage either. Fair enough. But I did take damage. It kind of hurt. Don't do that again. Even the handprint itself, you left your handprint on my chest. Again, Blind Freddy could see the metaphor here. You've touched my heart, so to say. Your act of, wanting to preserve me, and that act of love in that way left an imprint on my heart, right? I almost hear a strange subversion of the fairy tale concept of true love as well. Everything, even though it wasn't, okay, initially it was artificial love, but even after, I was translucent, they could actually see my soul, it was still artificial love. This is where the true love comes into it, and that push on her chest, that touching of her heart, that pushing onto the bed and preserving her life like that was the first element of true love, and was the first thing that was actually able to bypass the curse, right? Specifically here in the character posing as well, Tropical-esque would never climb up the stairs like this. You're an equal to Deathtopia. You climb up along here as well, right? So as it turns out, her will doesn't matter, but the will of those around me is what's important. Back then, your attack that ignored my feelings of wanting to pierce my own eyeball was not considered an attack at all. In other words, if you were to eat me for my sake while thinking of me, that may be enough to prepare this meal. Okay, it's because we're united in the fact that, okay, I'm not trying to hurt you. Okay, here's how it works. Everybody else tries to help me because I'm artificially beautiful and they love me, right? That ultimately leads to their self-destruction and demise. You're trying to attack me, but just trying to attack me. In actuality, you're trying to help me. So that kind of fun paradox is the reason why we're able to bypass this. It's the same reason why that painful push to the chest onto the bed was able to work as well. It is an attack that is ultimately out of preservation for you. So so somebody swinging a fucking axe at you wouldn't work, right? That is an attack out of want to hurt you, out of a lack of your own internal wants and needs, right? But an act of love that is genuine as well wouldn't work, right? I genuinely love you. I genuinely think you're hot. I genuinely think you're beautiful. Wouldn't work. An attack that is also an act of love is what's able to break the curse here and allow everything to work, right? But in doing so, you're also saving her, in turn breaking that curse as well. Lots and lots to be looked at here. Very, very complicated, very, very wordy, very, very Monogatari. And yeah, now we just have that final scene, of course. I do understand what we mean here now. I'm happy I went back through it. Yeah, this is where we get visually quite brilliant. I really love the 3D construction here and the big full moon. You've largely been associated with the light of the moon, even this kind of half light on your body here as well. We'll notice what happens to this moon upon you becoming a vampire as well. Again, staying full, crumbling the castle there as well. We're able to fly off into the distance together. Very, 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 very beautiful. Very, very gay as well. Love it. So we have Acerola standing here, arms out, showing off the neck. Bite me whenever you want. Using very formal language in doing so. Hey, you don't need to preemptively call me master, because Tropical Esk was my final slave. I'm abolishing the slavery of my kin here. You're not going to be under me. You're going to be, like, next to me. How cool's that? Almost like some kind of monogamous relationship, right? Involving rings. Moon rings? Whoa. We're going crazy. In that case, what should I call you if I'm not calling you master? Well, just call me Suicide Master, same way as normal. You don't need to give me the whole Deathtopia stuff. Most of all, I want you to be a kin that I can be proud of. Therefore, your speech must continue to not be the elegant stuff, right? Instead, you must break out that prestigious laugh. Give me that caca business. I'm not nervous at all, as if I would be nervous. Again, transitioning from that formal speak to that informal speak. Again, I want to be a monster like you, bakemono. That connection there, of course, as well. I want to be a cool, tough, and kind, but beautiful vampire. Oh my god. Just like you. This is like a confession, chat. This is crazy gay. I'm sure you'll be able to, and then brings out that full name for the first time. Kiss Shot, Acerola, Orion, Heart Under Blade, of course. I always forget the Orion part. That shit's weird. And yeah, this is where we're conflating that feeding with the love, right? So I'm giving you this because then you now apply this to Araragi in the first and stuff, right? When you love people, you want to make them kin. Eat all the people who die for you as if you were kissing them. Direct links to Kizumonogatari and Araragi, of course. Somewhere down the line after all this, perhaps you'll someday meet a praiseworthy prince. I wonder. And yeah, she says their name, and from now on in, she doesn't use any of that formal language shit anymore. She's now cool vampire lady. Again, predicated on the name given to you. With that name that you've given me, I'll make every effort to be as elegant as you. That's why you act the way that you do. Fair enough. Speaking of diligence, again, this whole teaching tone to this is my final lesson. Again, from the very start of the episode when you were kind of teaching her how to vampire. When you are really happy, laugh like this. And we go with a ha 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 instead of a ka 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 ka. So, well, again, I've referenced this previously in this segment. What does this mean? Has she done this some point in the past that I'm not aware of? Am I forgetting something? Most probably. Will this again be applied in the future? Also most probably again. And again, more of the fairy tale subversion stuff. The castle is crumbling, the evil corpse castle falling to the ground, all these sparklies, all this beauty around, right? At that point, walking out, associating myself with that moonlight once again, the castle crumbling around me. It's weird. It's both a, happy ending, right? The evil castle is falling to the ground, but you're becoming a vampire in the process. That's the fun subversion there, right? Again, I really enjoy it. And then from there, showing off that kind of nape of the neck. Please bite me quickly now. Saying that that title of the arc, the Bon Appetit there, even bringing out some of this really beautiful animation there. Really, really love that cut there. That look, very there's a certain elegance to it for sure. Of course, saying Bon Appetit, title of the arc, all that kind of stuff. This attack with the intent to save, with the intent to, not harm, is that contradiction which ends up ultimately breaking the blessing. From there, that kind of that shot there where we circle around is brilliant as well. Look at that, gorgeous. Great combination of CG and 2D there, which I really like. And again, this is the line, it wasn't anything special. I kill and eat, I kill and love. Conflating eating and loving. bring that information into the rest of the show and you have a whole lot of meaning, right? Eating and loving meant the same thing. Look at these two gay vampires just hanging out. And then, apropos of nothing, fucking airplane. 600-year time skip, everybody. Welcome. Even a traffic light. Yo, they're trolling at this point. Look at this Monogatari ass shit. Also, yeah, 11th hour name reveal. Why was she called Laura? What are you talking about? Weird. So anyway, she was called Laura, noble girl called Laura. The princess who was once called the beautiful princess became a vampire. Very, very cool. Just as planned, she became a monster who ate humans because she loved humans. Yo. And here I am, still alive. Yeah, thank you for making that clear, show. That's a whole lot of meaning in that, right? I want to become a... I love humans so much that I want to express my love for humans in the same way that you express your love, right? Too tropical-esque. I want to eat them, right? But ultimately, in doing so, I caught Araragi's ire because of his whole hatred of death type thing. Because think about Kizumonogatari, right? Again, when she's eating all those humans, when she's eating the humans and Araragi sees it and becomes disgusted, there's a big misunderstanding. She's only doing it because she loves them, and that's the only way she knows how to express her love. And again, Araragi's actions there, ultimately taking that form of love away from her, is why that ending is so contradictive. Yo, that's brilliant as well. Monogatari might be good, chat. It might unfortunately be good. I might have to give it some praise. In the end, I never really figured out my feelings for her. Friendship, affection, lust. I don't know what it was. Because it wasn't hunger, or perhaps even it wasn't because of that. Things went well, so it doesn't matter. Again, contradictions and, artificiality and all those fun concepts there. Either way, whatever it was, it left a good taste in my mouth. I must agree, it left a good taste in my mouth as well. And this is a story from 600 years ago, so... what now? What should I do now? I guess I've heard some rumors about her and what she's been up to. It's hard not to. She's pretty famous. As predicted, she became a magnificent vampire. With a new dress and a boob job apparently as well. Lots of stuff. Magnificent vampire. Good job. There she is, looking sick. Golden hair, golden eyes, oddity killer, king of oddities. Recently I heard a rumor that Kishot has finally been defeated by vampire slaying specialists in an island country in the Far East. Not entirely true. Was she slayed? No. Was she defeated? Yeah, kinda. In the same way that Araragi was also defeated in doing so. But no, I can't believe that she would have been beaten. Of course, she is legendary. So let me go check on that myself. Again, you're fucking in love as shit. You're still setting 2 glasses at the table. You're fucking madly in love. I'm not worried about her in the least. You're also tsundere. That's crazy. I guess we already knew that from the events of the episode now that I think about it. But how about I go see her? That's our lead in. We're both fine women. Let's talk fairy tales. And yeah, that's the very end of the episode there. Largely very enjoyable. Once I understood what we were getting at there a little bit more, it became a lot better. Just very good. Very, very good. Well produced. Love the concepts. It's exciting towards the future. I want to see what this nuclear bomb of fucking Deathtopia showing up in Japan is going to be. Or it's not going to be a nuclear bomb. I don't know. She's a fully strong vampire. She's still strong as fuck. So, that bodes poorly. That bodes poorly for the general level of power of everybody else that's around. So, it'll be interesting. I'm happy I've gotten a grasp on her as a character and so forth, I guess. Yeah, I'll see you next week. I don't have much else to say on the subject other than I thought that arc was pretty good. If I was to rank it, again, pretty damn high. Even though it is short and kind of ancillary, I think its ultimate production value and the concepts at play do elevate it in my mind. Let's say it's an A-tier arc along with Nadeko Draw. Yeah, it was good. Alright, I'll see you guys next week. There'll be more. I'll probably just do one more episode introducing that new arc. Again, MTBB, I don't know if they're continuing or if they're behind or something, so please let me know. Either way, thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe, Discord, all that stuff, and I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.